Shalom, all praise unto Yahweh, Bashmi Al-Shai, double honors to the apostle of GMS. Honestly, brothers, will be pushing this truth in sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. Alright, coming to you with another quick news report regarding an update of what's happening out there between the United States and Russia and Iran and Saudi Arabia. I remember last week I had mentioned the fact that this thing between Iran and Saudi Arabia that could cultivate into something a little bit more major. Well, you got the same statements, the same rhetoric being reiterated within this article. So I'm gonna go through it, and if anything pops into my head that needs to go and we need to get into it a little bit more deeper, then I will do so. So it says the prospect of a new war between say Iran and Saudi Arabia, or Russia and US and Russia, four powers at each other's throats at this moment, can never be ruled out. It says, though neither side is believed to have the capacity of inclination to undertake such a risky move. It says, a Saudi Arabia decision to constrain production is somewhat more likely sooner or later, which is what you know as war games. All right, it says, and given the precipitous decline in government's revenue, it says, however, the Saudis have repeatedly affirmed their determination to avoid such a move, as it would largely benefit the very producers, namely shale operators in the United States. It says, and they seek to eliminate. It says, in fact, some analysts believe that Putin took the risky steps on intervening the Syrian conflict partly to deflect public attention of the deteriorating economic conditions. All right, so part of the reasons why you got such a major move towards war, and that's Russia. Russia is predominantly a stable economy. I say predominantly because if I'm not mistaken, the vast majority of their income comes from oil trade too, and and other things. But it's stable in that respect. But what you're seeing right now is you're seeing all of these major so-called big time players within the global economic market, okay, diverting their attention towards the war side of things, because the economic side of things, well, there's nothing that can be done about it. And if Putin's doing it, then you better believe everybody else is doing it, because the Russians are usually the ones to play propaganda games in terms of their economy. But as far as propaganda goes, they'll play it as much as Esau, the American Edomite does, which the Russians are Edomites too, man. Okay, and it says he may also have done this to create a situation in which Russia's help in achieving a negotiated resolution to the bitter, which increasingly internationalized Syrian civil war, could be traded for the lifting of sanctions over Ukraine. It says, if so, there's a very dangerous game. No one, at least of all, Putin, can be certain of the outcome. So you got a lot of guys out here that they're in a comfortable situation where you got great leaders, so-called great leaders of these big nations, and they aren't certain of what outcome is going to come out of this thing. But we know ultimately from the scriptures this is going to lead up to war, man. Okay, and we know really Obama is America's the ones that are pushing for war, because they want everything, man. Like the book of Obadiah says, all right, he thinks he is the Most High, man. Okay, and he's gonna push forward towards that, man. He thinks he wants the rulership of all the earth. He wants to obtain the birthright. He wants to be the Israelites, like the book of Deuteronomy, the 7th chapter and the 6th verse says how that Israel is above all, is above all. Okay, and the Most High has made them special unto Himself. But Esau wants that. Okay, but he's not gonna do it. I wouldn't say you can't do it. Right, because the Most High has already ordained it, but Esau wants to be above all, okay? And he wants to do that by his carnal means. And this is Obadiah 1 and 3. I pull this out a lot of times. It says, the pride of blind heart have deceived you. Why is it deceived you? Because here it is. You got Esau going heavy, all right, trying to obtain the birthright by carnal means, okay? Right, his own pride has deceived him because he actually believes that he can do it, okay? But ultimately, he knows that it's unachievable deep down in his heart, because it's been written that that Jacob's gonna overrule, man. It says, therefore rejoice, here, this is Revelations 12 and 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, ye that dwell in them, war unto the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil has come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth he has a short time. So he knows he has got a short time to try to put this program, the so-called New World all their agenda right into place. Okay, he knows he has a short time to do that, man. Okay, but his own pride deceives him. He thinks, oh man, I could do it, man. I could do it if I do this, that, and the third. If I make them Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans go off, man, I can achieve that. And that's why the scripture says in the book of Psalms, the 83rd chapter, they have taken crafty counsel against the anointed of the Most High, man. Psalms 83 and 1. I'll start from 2. It says, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up their heads. So who hates the Most High? Well, Esau. Okay, because that's not the scripture says. He that, it says here, it says they that hate you really hate the Most High, man. Talking about the elect. Okay, right, and how that you're gonna be hated even off your own people. But really, that's because Esau has created a system that creates Edomites, man. And these niggas are really just Edomites, man. They move like how Esau moves. They aspire to be like Esau, man. That's why the scripture says, ye are of your father, the devil, and the lust of your father you will do, man. Okay, so just like how they rising up against us, well, Esau's gonna come up more on all of them, even the niggas within Israel. Esau's gonna come up on them heavy, but we know the just shall live by faith, man. So when we come into these times here, when you got war games now, okay, all right, and you got wars, strategic war movements happening. Hey, it's gonna come to a thing of faith soon, man. Okay, so let me go back onto this precept right quick. And says they have taken crafty counsel against that people and consulted that hindrance. Why? Because when they took crafty counsel, they was proud in believing that if they could make Israel to go off, right, so bad that the Most High would do away with us. All right, but that's not gonna happen, man. That's what the scripture says here in Obadiah 1 and 3. The pride in thy heart hath deceived thee, that thou dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground. And that's why you got it here where it says here, Obama pushing for war, because if you're pushing for war, you think you can win the war, man. And that's why the scripture says, who shall bring me down to the ground. Okay, and let's move on to the next bit. It says the situation in Russia remains somewhat more fluid. It says President Vladimir Putin continues to enjoy widespread popular support and from Ukraine and Syria. He says he has indeed been moving ambitiously on the international front. Still falling oil prices combined with the economic sanctions imposed by the EU, which was another chess move on the war on the World War III board game. Okay, EU and US have begun to cause some expressions of dissatisfaction. It says, including the recent protests by long-distance truckers, right, over increasing the highway tolls. It says Russia's economy is expected to contract in a significant way in 2016, and you're seeing that across the board, man. It's not just Russia that's going to be contracting. America's been contracting. Here it is out here within Britain. You got this situation with let me pull it up, with Unilever, okay, which is supposed to be a producer of different goods in that, okay, but pretty much as a result of the Brexit, you had it to where they were they wanted to, I mean, it's products, okay, all right, but as a result of the Brexit, you got it to where they wanted more money for what they was getting. So I'm gonna read this a little bit quickly just to prove that point. It says the supermarket giant and the UK's largest food manufacturer, okay, the UK's largest food manufacturer had been locked into a battle of wholesale prices. It says Unilever had somewhat to raise its prices by 10% to compensate for the steep drop in the value of the pound. Now, why has there been a steep drop in the value of the pound? Because you had to where Britain voted to go out with the Brexit, man. Okay, so you had a steep fall within the pound. I think it's trading at 1.2 to the dollar. Okay, which means to say, hey, they're losing out on money, so they're trying to increase those prices. So this is a sign that move is going to cost Britain a lot of money, man. Okay, and with the unstable pound, guess what, man? The whole world economy is going to be unstable, man. Okay, all right, because hey, the pound is supposed to be somewhat stable. Okay, it says, hey, it's strong against the dollar. All right, and the dollar has been weak, man. All right. It says the Unilever has wanted to raise its prices by about 10% to compensate for the steep drop in the value of the pound. It says, but Unilever had to give up some ground, says BBC understands it. Brands including, and it goes on. So the point really on that has been made. Okay. All right, so I'll go to this right quick. And it says retailers warn government of Brexit price rises. Okay, failure to strike a good Brexit deal in 2019 will push up prices in shops. Okay, it says the British retail consumption has warned, and you've seen an example of that. Okay, so things is gonna get real hard for a lot of people out here, man. All right, like the scripture says, the just shall live by faith. Okay, so let me carry on with this a little bit. It says in the U.S. has begun to cause some expressions of dissatisfaction. It says including a recent protest for long distance trackers, including over increasing highway tolls. So we read that. It says the empire of chaos has Russia backed into the empire of chaos has Russia backed into a corner. Says we are on the brink of World War III. Okay, so this is the meat of the article essentially. Okay, it says here, Empire of Chaos has what's the Empire of Chaos, man? Okay, I mean, yeah, you really, man, when you read these articles, man, you gotta think, man, the Most High put the spirit on these different writers of these articles, man, to use certain words, man, because these words tie in with the scriptures, man. All right. Because Esau is the master of chaos. I'm trying to really let me go to Malachi 1:4, man, because he is the border of wickedness, man. What's chaos if it's not wickedness? Okay, he's wherever he goes, he brings about that wickedness, man. Let's go to Malachi 1:4 to prove that, man. Okay, it is the empire of doom, gloom, and chaos. All right. In fact, one of their mottos is order out of chaos. So that goes to prove that they're trying to push through their so-called New World Order using this World War III, man. Okay? Malachi 1:4. It says, whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build desolate places. Thus saith Yahweh Shimei Shai, they shall build but and will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, the people against whom the Lord hath indignation forever. Okay? They shall be the border of wickedness, man, the empire of chaos. You could have put it in there, man. But that would have been, that would have been too obvious, Okay, it says, as Russia backed into a corner, it says we are on the brink of World War III. And the brink is not a year from World War III. The brink, it could happen tomorrow, man. Okay. It says Darren McBreen talks of Dr. Paul Craig Roberts about NATO's deployment of anti-missile systems surrounding Russia. Now, see, that's how you back a person into a corner, right? That you surround them with anti. And the thing about anti-missile systems is this. Okay, people think it's they use that word anti-missile system, but it's still a missile. It's still a missile, man. That's why the scripture says, never trust thy enemy. It says his words are smoother than butter. All right, yes, swords were drawn. An anti-missile system is a system of missiles, all right, apparently designed to shoot down other missiles, but it's still a missile. Okay, it's still a missile. You're still firing apparently a missile, but guess what? You can turn that if you're surrounding Russia and you got an anti-missile system, guess what? All you have to do is put the right warhead in it, and you basically launched off, man. So it's a technicality. Okay, it's a technicality, but guess what? They got missiles surrounding Russia right there, man. Okay, and it says economic collapse and financial crisis is rising, all right, any moment, man. Okay, any moment. Okay, so brothers, it's time to, you got that woe is me spirit. Well, look, man, this is the things you got to look forward to. Okay, all right, because we know through the scriptures that at the end of the days of these kings, the rulers of the earth right now, the elite banking families, we're gonna have a kingdom that's gonna be ruling forever, man. You can have women, right, riches, wealth, land, right, cattle, right, goats. Jake, Benjamin, like them curry goat. You're gonna have goat for days, man. Okay, Judah likes like chicken. You're gonna have chickens for days, man. Okay, all the so-called goodly pleasures, and you're gonna realize you haven't been living life. You've been led to believe you're living life because you've been given petty cash. So you could buy petty goods that you have to replace every 2 years, i.e. your laptops, your phones. Okay, things that make you feel better than the next person. But guess what? That's a short-term thrill, man. The Most High is looking to give us long-term thrills, man. Okay, kids as far as the eye can see. Now, what's more pleasurable than the man seeing all of his kids? Let's say Most High gives you 100 seeds, man. All right, What's more pleasurable than seeing all your 100Cs taken care of, wealthy as hell, okay, and they're raising up their own kids, man. Now, I don't know, man, but that sounds a hell of a lot better than staying out here in Babylon, man. Okay, it says, and in the days of these kings shall the Most High, the God of heaven, shall set up a kingdom shall set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all of these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. And that's the key point right there, man. It's going to stand forever. So let's read a little bit more of this. This economic collapse, financial crisis is rising at the moment. It says getting information about the collapsing crisis may earn you, right, or prevent you to lose money. So that's you know, those are so-called preppers. You got Esau out there, which, you know, some of them I believe is going to be Jake, because it's within their spirit to think, look, actually, F this society, I've got to look for a way out of here. And what they're basically trying to do is prep their way out of here. But see, you know, the true prepping comes by setting your foundation straight with Yahweh Shem Shai, man, in this truth. Okay, because when you do that, you're not gonna fail, man. All right, the faith in Yahweh Shem Shai is gonna be the most valuable commodity. The elders did a video on that, man. Here it is. You got Jake. You're actually being given a commodity that you can't put a price on. Okay, mental stability, you can't put a price on that. The scriptures say, "Give me any plague but the plague of the mind." Okay, meaning to say you don't want bug out. So when these things are happening, these people are going to be plagued within their mind, because they're going to see all of this stuff that they supposedly love, which they don't really love. Because when you really think about it, would you really have? But Satan's got it to where they believe that they love that shit. And when it goes down, they're going to be bugging out. But it's a plague of a mind, you see? It's deception. It's a plague of the mind. And here is, you got the elders. They've been, the Most High set them up to where they was unplaguing, you know? You get the computer, you get the virus, you send it to the technician. That's what the Most High did, man. Okay, he sent us to the technician. We had the viruses, and then viruses were cleaned off, man. Right, stuck a new hard drive in the motherfucker, and he was running as good as Usain Bolt, man. All right, so it says a major international airport might have been begging from. Oh, so pretty much, you know, I'm pretty much good with that. You know, the points have been hit. You know, you read these articles sometimes, they go off on their own tangential thoughts of the writer, but the points have been made. Okay, you know, you brothers stay up, you know, with this thing, you know, keep watching the news, okay? You know, look after the men that have looked after you, obviously, you know, send your tithes and all of that, man. That's what you're supposed to be doing, man. That's a righteous thing to do. That's a requirement of the Most High, man. Okay? Look out, look after the brothers around you, all right? And I say that with a pinch of salt, because not every brother is a brother, man. The scripture says, you know, behold, every brother shall utterly supplant, man. Okay? But hey, you know, because we're getting down to the wire, you might see a lot of guys fall off, man. All right, but that's not supposed to plague your mind either, man. Your thing is supposed to be the future, and I pray Yahweh Shem outside do make it out of it, man. All right. So that must say, all praise unto Yahweh Shem outside. Double honors the Apostle GMS. Honor you brothers that be pushing this truth in sincerity. Shalom.